Well, at one point you've got it, and then you lose it, and it's gone forever. All walks of life.
Aston Martin is the slowest team in the 2026 Formula 1 season, so far. It's even slower than the rookie team Cadillac. The expectations for Team Silverstone were high after all the investments Lawrence Stroll and his consortium made. But what they presented on track has been nothing but disappointing. All fingers are pointed at Adrian Newey, the most decorated aero genius. What the hell happened to him? Well, I've got a theory. A unifying theory of life. I'm Wimbo. Here's 3 seconds to leave a like. We know that we have the worst car and the worst engine. We've been very clear in every race so far that we have to work. This is a direct quote from the legendary two-time Formula 1 world champion Fernando Alonso. I'm sure that when he signed for Aston Martin, leaving the troubled Alpine team, he had high hopes of finding glory there. After a promising season in 2023, where he scored a load of podiums and came close to winning a race a couple of times, the thing happened that happens every time he joins another team. The team declined in performance. Now, I'm not blaming Alonso for that. I'm sure his input is valid. But for some reason, this keeps happening. The teams he leaves always start doing better. Alpine is on the up and up with their Mercedes engines, and rumours are circulating about him going there next season. But I'll believe that when I see it. Anyway, this video isn't about Alonso. I just used his quote to show what state the team is in. Lawrence Stroll has spared no cost in creating the right circumstances for success. He built new facilities, hired the best people, and the only thing you can criticize him for is keeping his son in the seat. But the way things stand now, I'm glad it's only one good driver that has to suffer this season. One of the things Stroll did, which we all thought was the best move ever, was luring Adrian Newey away from Red Bull. Stroll saw an opportunity when Newey wasn't happy at Red Bull anymore, after the infighting that happened there, and gave the aero genius everything he wanted, going as far as giving him a share in the team, which is unheard of. We all thought Newey was going to build a rocket ship that would be pushed forward by the reliable Honda engine that had great success with Red Bull. In theory, this all made a lot of sense. We'll discuss why it all didn't work later in the video. First, I want to highlight how good and successful Newey was in the past. Adrian Newey made a name for himself at a team called Leighton House. He pioneered an extreme aerodynamic philosophy. The packages he created were ultra slim and had sculpted front wings. This team was too small for his genius, so he joined Williams in 1991. In those years, he created championship winning cars, and his expertise on active suspension cemented his name as one of the best in the field. He scored 5 constructors and 4 drivers' titles at Williams. Then Ron Dennis swooped him up from Williams, because Frank Williams didn't keep his promise to let Newey have a say in the choice of drivers. So Newey repeated his tricks at McLaren, and they won the drivers and constructors titles back to back. Then Christian Horner convinced him to join the party team, the Red Bull team, who were based in Milton Keynes. It took a while, but in 2009 the signs were there that Red Bull could mix it with the top teams, and in 2010 Vettel won 4 driver titles. Together with Webber, they won the constructors 4 times as well. Newey got frustrated with the Renault engines in the hybrid era, so he did a few other projects, and then with the Honda engines he got involved again, especially when the ground effect rules were introduced in 2022. They won 4 drivers titles with Verstappen and 2 constructors titles as a team with Perez. Internal battles opened up the door for Newey to join Aston Martin, but his reputation was always intact, despite comments from Horner, who once said that Newey was more of an overseer and he came in whenever he pleased. So we were all very positive about Newey at Aston Martin, but nobody could have predicted what would happen next. From the start, the AMR26 was plagued by some huge flaws. Pre-season testing in Barcelona and Bahrain was a mess. Aston Martin completed the fewest laps of any team, hampered by massive vibrations that came from the Honda power unit. Drivers reported numbness in their hands and feet, and Newey himself warned of potential nerve damage. Wing mirrors literally shook off the car. The radical extreme aerodynamic concept Newey is known for, aggressive side pods, innovative suspension and low drag philosophy proved impossible or extremely difficult to drive. Early races revealed a car that was not only slow but unreliable, with Alonso limited to short stints before vibrations became unbearable. Newey publicly defended the chassis, claiming it was at most 1 second off the pace on that front. Yet the team started the season deep in the midfield or worse, a lot worse compared to their 2025 form. Development delays made the pain worse. The new wind tunnel came online late, Newey joined relatively late in the cycle, and the squad was reportedly 4 months behind rivals in preparation. The decision to skip important upgrades in favor of a major mid-season package only made frustration worse as results failed to happen on track. By spring, the narrative shifted from Newey magic to questions blaming Newey. Paddock rumors highlighted integration issues between the Newey designed chassis and Honda's engine. Reliability woes, overweight parts and handling problems in high-speed corners never disappeared, even after the vibrations were eventually sorted. Newey's short stint as a team principal ended in March, with reports of him stepping back to focus purely on technical duties amid the crisis, often framed as a graceful retreat or quiet admission that he bit off a little bit more than he could chew. For a man whose cars had defined eras, 2026 exposed that he may have lost it. Newey's legendary intuition for aerodynamics walked into a wall of realities of a brand new regulatory era, power unit complexities and a team still working hard on its infrastructure. Honda faced its own teething troubles, but fingers also pointed at the over-ambitious design choices and underestimation of the transition. Alonso's patience wore thin and the team morale dipped. What was built as a super team project risked becoming a horrible year. By mid-season, cautious optimism remained. Newey insisted strides were being made, and the chassis showed potential for the future. Yet the season had already delivered a pretty harsh lesson. Even the greatest designers can't find instant success in a short time due to cultural shifts and technical gambles. Newey's Aston Martin chapter opened with a thud rather than a roar, reminding the paddock that in F1, reputations are built over years but can be destroyed in a single painful campaign, as this video shows. The downfall was not a total failure, but the gap between the hype and the sobering reality is a story of a brilliant mind facing a very harsh reality that he may have lost what made him great. The unifying theory of life, beautifully f***ing illustrated by Sick Boy at the start of the video, is a thing in all walks of life. He mentions a lot of actors and singers in the 1996 film Trainspotting, but it applies to people in F1 as well. Ron Dennis once had it all at McLaren. He ruled that team in his particular way and had great success. But a few huge scandals and failing results led him to sell up and leave the sport. Christian Horner left the sport disgraced by scandals after he was fired, while some people saw him as the architect of the Red Bull success story. A long time ago there was a man called Colin Chapman who pioneered aerodynamic work in F1. He created very fast but also very dangerous cars, which won lots of prizes but also killed many drivers. He came into troubled water financially, but before this could be sorted out in court, he died of a heart attack, although some believe that he escaped to Brazil after faking his own death. And then finally there's Frank Williams, who once had a stronghold over F1 to see it diminish year after year until he had to sell the team to a consortium. All these legends once had it, but lost it, and it was gone forever. Horner is looking for a way back into F1, and Newey is working very hard to get Aston Martin where it wants to be. Do you think they'll succeed? Is there still some Newey magic left, or is Aston Martin doomed until they find someone else? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you want to see more. Take care now. Doei doei.